Alright guys, welcome to another video finally after, I don't know, 3 weeks I think. We had some renovations in the house, so I hadn't really the time to do a full, well prepared, well done video. So I didn't do anything because I didn't want to put out some half-assed things. So yeah, today we're gonna look at the not really new Sony FE 50mm F1.8 for the full frame Sony system, and yeah, let's get right into it. I had this lens for a day now. I bought it today actually, and so I hadn't really that much time to work with it a little bit, but I think at least I hope that I can give you some first impressions of what the lens is all about. So first of all, let's look at the packaging and the lens build quality. The lens comes in this really basic orange Sony box, pretty much in which all the Sony lenses come in. The informations are all printed on the box, nothing special here. It also comes with the instructions, manuals, everything, like a whole bunch of paper you don't really need. So that's that, and here's the lens itself. I've mounted it on my Sony a7 II currently. That's also how you can see the size of the lens. So the lens comes with a pretty standard lens hood, Sony, plastic, black, nothing special there. It also comes with this lens cover, Sony, plastic, black, nothing special here. The lens itself is also made out of plastic. The complete body is plastic, the focus ring is plastic, or it's more like a rubberized plastic, but it's still plastic. The only thing that is metal on this lens is the lens mount. As you can see here, the lens mount is metal, everything else is plastic. Which, in my opinion, isn't really that bad because it makes the lens really light. The lens itself weighs only at about 183 grams, I think, which is enormously light. It does not add any weight to the camera, really. And I don't think that the build quality is that bad, even though it's plastic. It feels really sturdy, like it isn't a cheap plastic or anything. So I really don't have the major problems with that, and for it being such a light lens, it's really nice. The only problem, like from the build itself, I have with the size. I think it's pretty large for a 50mm f1.8. In comparison to the ones from Canon and Nikon, I had the Canon one, and it was, even though it was a little bit fatter, it was a little bit wider. It was not nearly as long. They didn't really come with a lens hood as well, so it was really short in comparison to this one. But yeah, I think it's still decent. The size isn't that bad for a full frame lens. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is autofocus and image quality, but first autofocus. For that, I'm gonna, more than talking about it, I'm just gonna show it to you. So the one issue everybody has with this lens is the motor, the autofocus motor, because it is yeah, it's noisy. It's slow and noisy. It's just not a really good autofocus system. You can see it extends almost a centimeter when focusing really close, like when focusing at the minimal focus distance of 0.45 meters or 1.45 feet, which is not really nice. It's really loud, so it's absolutely not practical for shooting video because you will hear it. So what everybody says is that the autofocus is really, really slow, and also that they have a problem with the camera or the lens, like really finding the sweet spot of the focus, especially at 1.8. But I think if the lens has the focus, like if it found the focus, it's pretty decent and it's pretty accurate. So I don't see a huge issue there. The autofocus isn't perfect. It's quite slow. It's loud. I think it's probably also doomed to have some kind of mechanical failure in the future, because there are so many parts that move inside this motor. So yeah, I'm kind of scared of this lens breaking, actually, if you use it too much, which is really not a good thing to fear about in a lens. But yeah, that's the autofocus. I think it's decent. It's not perfect, but it's also not as bad as some people say it to be. Alright, so let's talk about the most important thing in any lens. The most important thing most people are interested in, the image quality. And what I wanted to mention in the beginning was that, what I forgot was that I paid 190 euros here in the EU for the lens, which is, in my opinion, a really decent price for a 50mm prime at f1.8. It's a little bit more expensive than the Canon or Nikon versions, but it's decent. It's a decent price. And the image quality you get for these, let's round it up at 200 euros, let's just say 200 euros, is insane. Like, the image quality is incredibly good. Even at f1.8, even at a really wide aperture, the image quality is very sharp. The bokeh is really, really nice for such a simple lens. It has 7 aperture blades, which is more than enough to give a really nice bokeh, to give a really nice round bokeh. And so yeah, image quality is really, really nice. It stopped down to about f4 or f5.6. That's where, like, the sweet spot of this lens is. That's where it has almost perfect image quality, actually. So I didn't see any flaws in the image quality at f5.6 or at f8. The edges of the images were really sharp. There was no vignetting, no distortion, nothing. So I mean, distortion would be really weird for a 50mm lens at a full frame, on a full frame camera. But yeah, I'm gonna show you some photos I took today with this lens, and so you can see for yourself what you think about the image quality. So what is my final verdict for this lens? It's definitely not perfect. It's not a perfect lens. It has its flaws, for example, the autofocus. But it's a great lens, especially for beginners, especially for people with a little bit of a smaller budget, as myself. It's a really nice lens with a wide aperture. It's really universal because you can use it in low light situations. You can use the wide aperture to blur out backgrounds, and it's a nice focal length, because the 50mm is like the classical focal length. You can use it for portrait. You can use it for street photography. If you have enough space, you can use it even for architecture photography a little bit. I think it's a little bit close for architecture, but you can use it for a lot of different things. So I think it's a nice lens for beginners, and at this price point especially, it's a really good lens, and I really look forward to using it more, and maybe showing you in a second part to this video a little bit more of what it really can do. So yeah, thank you for watching, and if you are interested in any topic for me to cover, then just leave it down in the comments or write me on Instagram or whatever. I think you know how to contact me. So yeah, until the next time. Bye.